What's up, Temple? What's up, Philly? What's up, world? Welcome to the first ever TV episode of Philly Famous Podcast. My name is Greg Holdsman, and I am the creator and host of the show. I'm a lifelong Philadelphian, graduate of Central High School, former college basketball player, and current senior at Temple University. I launched the podcast nearly a year ago, and you can find the 70-plus published episodes in the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts. The show highlights Philly's most dynamic creators and leaders who are doing interesting and innovative things in all areas of professional life. Our guests are diverse in race, gender, age, neighborhood, and industry, ranging from entrepreneurs, athletes, writers, musicians, doctors, and more. We have a very special guest for the first ever TV edition of the show. He is a Philadelphia basketball legend. He played high school basketball at Simon Gratz under the legendary coach Coach Ellerbee, stayed in Philly to play college basketball at Temple, and was the 17th overall pick in the 1994 NBA draft. He played the majority of his NBA career for the hometown Sixers and won the Sixth Man of the Year award while playing for the team in the 2000-2001 NBA season, led by the iconic Allen Iverson when they reached the NBA Finals. After retiring as a player, Aaron joined the Sixers staff as an assistant coach, and then in 2013, he left the Sixers to join the Temple men's basketball staff under Coach Fran Dunphy. Last year, it was announced that he will be taking over as head coach of the team beginning in the 2019 season. He made a name for himself as a player, and now he is creating a legacy as a coach. It is my pleasure to welcome on a true homegrown Philly Temple great, Aaron McKie, to Philly Famous Podcast. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Greg. Thanks. Great intro there, man.
I appreciate it. So before I knew you as Coach McKie, I actually knew you as Coach Aaron, the Little League baseball coach in Mount Airy baseball. Full disclosure to the audience, I umpired your kids in Mount Airy baseball. You guys had a bomb squad. You guys must have been you couldn't have lost more than 5 games in your Little League coaching career.
We lost 2 games, in fact. But you know, the kids enjoyed baseball. We had a pretty good team, and we practiced a lot. So, you know, they earned their reputation up there at Mount Airy.
Is your kid better at baseball than basketball?
50-50. He loves baseball and he enjoys playing and he's good at it. He loves basketball, enjoys playing, and he's good at it. So I like him to play all the sports and just enjoy it. He's too young for me right now to say, hey, stick with this one sport.
Well, I've heard from various sources that you could have played college baseball. And it may have been your best sport in high school. I don't know about that. But so what's it like coaching your kid in your sports?
It's cool because I get the opportunity to share the game that I grew up and I love, and we get the chance to watch games, but teach them as well. I try not to teach as much in terms of baseball and basketball because you still have to be dad at home. So I've been fortunate enough to have some good friends to coach them, and I can refine them at the end of the day.
And you were lucky enough to grow up in a rec center where you played your sports at Belfield Rec. So when I say Belfield Recreation Center, what does that mean to you? That's
home. That's where everything started at for me as a kid. I learned how to play baseball, I learned how to play basketball, I learned how to swim there. We did just about everything. I learned how to play football. I played for the Northwest Raiders. So everything that I learned on the grassroots level, how to dribble a ball, how to pass a ball, how to shoot a ball, it started at that recreation center. We had talent shows and arts and craft. We played hockey. I did everything, and it was just a beautiful life, just being able to go there and climb over a gate outside my backyard and go to the recreation center where there was always something going on. And as a kid, those are things that you look forward to doing. It's just going out, playing, having fun, and making new friends every day.
And at Belfield, you met Coach Coach Ellerbee, who later coached you at Simon Gratz. Who was he to you growing up, and how did your relationship evolve when he coached you in your late teenage years?
Boy, I don't even know if I could put it in words what Coach L, as we affectionately call him, means to me. You know, as a kid, I was a undisciplined kid growing up, and like most kids, you know, you got your way of doing things, and you have adults that shepherd over you, and they try to teach you the right way. And it was hard in the beginning, and he was always on me, and I believe there was something that he saw in me. He saw, I guess, some leadership qualities that he wanted to bring out of me, and every day he was on me for every little thing. I could remember he knew the one thing that I enjoyed doing the most, and that was playing basketball. And whenever I wanted to come in the gym and shoot or play basketball with my friends, he always made me clean the rec center up. And I would, you know, get upset, I would get mad, but I would do it. And he knew that was a way to just kind of get me to understand how things work in life. So I had to clean up the rec center before I got a chance to go out there and play basketball, and he would give me a ball, let me get out there and play with my friends. But so many lessons that he taught me through sports that I carry with myself today in life.
And do you still have a relationship with him today?
Absolutely. He's like my moral compass, and not only do we talk about sports, but we talk about life as well. And I in a sense, that's how I try to live my life, is to make sure I please him, and along with some of my other mentors who put a lot of time and effort and energy into me and into my development. And I think that's a way of those guys being able to give back. And when I think about it now, he was married, he had kids, he was a school teacher, and all the other things that he did. War veteran. All the other things that he did, but he still found time to come to the rec center and put time in with not just myself, but a lot of other kids that grew up in that area.
I mentioned to you before we were on air that Bill Ellerbee was my 4th episode ever of Philly Famous Podcast, so I know what an amazing person he is. What made him different from other adults in your life growing up?
Well, I think he was simple. There was no agenda with him. He just cared about the kids. He cared about our academic growth. He cared about our growth as human beings, and never wanted anything out of it. And like I said, this is, for me, how I conduct myself. I see a lot of myself now the way I looked at him. He had a presence with him. He had an essence. Whenever I would be around him, he always had my attention. And I think that's important for kids. It's difficult now to try to keep kids' attention because they got so much in front of them right now. Social media, internet, video games, and all of those things. And I was just like a little sponge when I would be around him, because I wanted to learn from him, and I wanted to be like him in so many ways.
We'll touch back to that, because I want to know how he's impacted your coaching style now with Temple. But out of high school, you received numerous scholarship offers. Why'd you pick Temple?
I grew up a fan of the Big Five. I grew up a fan of Coach Chaney. Coach L was a disciple of Coach Chaney. One of my other mentors, John Harnett, was a disciple of Coach Chaney. I would go to the Palestra and watch the Big Five games. I would go to McGonigal Hall and watch the games. A lot of the local Philly legends were playing for Temple at the time, and I enjoyed watching those guys play. And it was something about being in that arena that said I want to be a part of that. And that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to go, and I wanted to play for, Coach Chaney. I wanted to play in Philadelphia. I wanted to play in the Big Five. All those things excited me. So I was fortunate enough to get that opportunity to go and play for Coach Chaney, and it was a successful run for me.
Coach Chaney, another legendary coach, Hall of Fame coach. How did he impact you differently than Coach Ellerbee?
Coach always found ways to keep me off balance.
Uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable. And I guess you do your best work when you're a little uncomfortable in life. I think when your back is up against the wall, I think you push a little harder. You fight a little bit more. And I always was a hard worker. And when I got around Coach Chaney, it was, I could think that I had a good day of practice, and he'd tell me I played like crap, or I didn't hustle enough. And that always had me thinking. If I had a bad day at practice, or at least I thought I had a bad day at practice, he would tell me, hey, you did a really good job. And so he kept me off balance in that way, and it always I always wanted to please him. I'm a pleaser in a sense where, I want to make those guys happy and proud of my work. So I realized at an early age, if you put out a good amount of effort, day in and day out, you'll get good results. And that's the only thing that I try to do when I play for those guys.
So he was more tough love than Coach L?
He was tough love on the surface, but his door was always open in his office. We can go in his office and we can sit and we can talk. He would tell jokes and different things like that. So a lot of people, if you don't know Coach Chaney, a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see that side of him. His friends, his family, and everybody else get a chance to see that side of him. And we knew that side of him. But when they had them cameras on him during the course of games, everybody thought he was the meanest coach out there. But it was just a pleasure to be able to play for him and sit in his office and listen to him tell joke after joke and laugh. He was quite funny.
So he was still that father-like figure in the same way that Coach L was.
Absolutely.
It's interesting to talk about being uncomfortable. When I played in college, we had a sign at the front of our locker room that said, "Get comfortable with being uncomfortable." And you're right. You can't really grow as a person or a player, I guess, without getting out of your comfort zone and pushing yourself. When you got to the Sixers, you had already had the benefit of having two Hall of Fame coaches in Coach L and Coach Chaney. What more could Coach Larry Brown add to your life as both a player and a person?
He was very detail-oriented in his style. And the one thing that he did with a lot of his players, if you look at the history of Larry Brown, he's one of the coaches that can get the max out of all of his players. And he injects that confidence in you from day one. From day one. He'll look you in your eyes and say, "Hey, you're my guy. You're going to play for me. Here's what you have to do." He give you a plan and say, "This is what I need you to do every day." And he was fun to play for. You know, you'll have your moments with him because he tests all his players. He could tell you to go down the floor and go right. You'll go down the floor and go right, and he'll be telling you, "I told you to go left." But if you in sports or you in basketball long enough, you'll understand that's how coaches operate sometimes.
Because it was the NBA, which is more of a business than obviously college or high school, was there still as much of a personal relationship you could build with him? Or was it, like I said, more just of a CEO and employee type of situation?
He tapped into my leadership skills as well. I think the NBA is a lot different than college. You have more access in terms of finances and stuff like that. So whenever we would go on long road trips, he would give me the credit card and say, "Hey, Aaron, take the guys out. You guys go out and talk basketball, hang out, have some fun."
He'd give you his own credit card?
A corporate card. Yeah. Corporate cards, yeah. And so that's what I mean by more access in terms of finances. And we would go out and we would talk. We'd go catch a movie. We'll have dinner together. And it was that team bonding thing that was always big with us. And that's important on any level, whether it's family, whether it's college, whether it's in the pros, and just being around each other and getting to know each other on a personal level. Know more about me outside of me being able to dribble, pass, or shoot a ball. Know my family history and my family dynamic, and if I'm married or if I have kids, and what are my kids' names, and all of those things became important to us as players, which helped us bond more, and he put that in front of us as players.
So we just quickly ran through three iconic coaches that played a role in your life, and we could go so much more into them, but looking at those three coaches, now that you're going to be the head coach at Temple starting in the 2019-2020 season, right? Yeah. When you look at those three coaches, who impacted your style most as a coach and in your relationship with your players and your kids?
You could take a piece of all of those guys. And the one common denominator, I think, with all of those guys is hard work and the simplicity of the game. It wasn't difficult to go into practice and try to remember a ton of plays. It was really simple with how we did things. And I think that's what I want to do. I think it's very difficult now to get these kids' attention spans to expand a little longer. So you want to be to the point and you want to simplify everything for them. And I think they can take ownership of what it is that you're teaching, and they're more comfortable with what their role is and what they need to do out on the court.
Do you ever have any of those three coaches come and talk to your kids or talk to your players?
Not now. I mean, I'll have that opportunity to be able to do it. And actually, a couple weeks ago, Coach Chaney spent some time with the guys, came to practice, sat in and watched the guys and had a chance to speak with them. I think that's always important. I think the history of the game. No better guys on the high school level than Coach L. No better guy on the college level than Coach Chaney. No better guy on the pro level than Larry Brown to be able to come out and speak to the guys and share their lifelong experiences with the game. I mean, they put a lot of time and effort into this game and pretty much dedicated their lives to it.
This is your last year as an assistant, and I know you're probably getting tons of questions of how your role is going to be different, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to ask that. I want to ask, this year as your last year as an assistant, what do you want to learn differently? What do you want to improve on heading into next year? Is there something you're going to be looking different, watching differently in practices or games, or off the court stuff that you have to handle as a head coach you don't have to handle as an assistant?
It's a lot, especially with college, because pretty much you're your own GM, and you got to micromanage a lot of different things. I think really, working under Coach Dunphy, the one thing that I take is his ability to be able to manage does a really good job of managing on the court, does a really good job of managing off the court. So I want to continue to watch those things. I want to continue to watch the game and how to manage games in college, because to me it's totally different, college versus pro. It's still basketball, but it's totally different in terms of managing games. And just making sure I manage things off the court when you have the recruiting dynamic, academics with the kids, my family, my life off the court. Because if I don't have balance with that, it's going to be hard to have balance as a head coach.
As the head coach of a college program, you're really the CEO of a mid-sized business. I've actually heard Dunphy use those words before. So it's a big responsibility. Shifting gears a little bit, why is your nickname Blue?
It's a long story. Not really a long story, because, again, I grew up playing baseball. And one of my best friends, when he would come to my games in high school when I played at Gratz, he would call me Vida Blue. And so it stuck with me. Everybody started calling Vida Blue. It's a famous pitcher for the Oakland A's, and I pitched. So back in the day, it was a famous African-American pitcher, Vida Blue, who pitched for the Oakland A's. And so my buddy would come to the games, and he'd be yelling in the stands, Blue. And so it stuck. And everybody started calling me Blue. And I never really explained to everybody why they called me Blue, but it was because of that, because of my baseball background. And
it stuck with you all the way until now.
Yep.
Are you the only athlete that's played high school, collegiately, and professionally, all in Philly?
I'm not sure.
I'm just thinking outside of basketball, and you're definitely the only one in basketball that's played high school in Philly, college in Philly, and for the Sixers.
Not sure, but that's a good trivia question.
Yeah. Got a fun question here. Drawing from your teammates from high school all the way through your NBA career, if you're the starting shooting guard, who else do you build around your starting five, from drawing from all your teammates from high school on?
Even through the pros?
Even through the pros.
See, that's unfair, because now you're asking me to put high school guys versus pro guys.
Well, you got it. Well, in terms of how they developed as well. So Rashid, was he your teammate when you were a senior, and he was a freshman?
It'd be myself. See, now you're about to get me in trouble, because I'm gonna leave somebody off. Myself, Eddie Jones, Rasheed Wallace, Allen Iverson.
I expected those guys. Now
so you already did the work.
So I'm interested in the fifth.
I'll leave that open.
Leave that open?
Yeah. Tell me what
I think you need a center.
Yeah. No, not necessarily in this game today. You don't.
Okay. We'll take the Kembe.
Kembe. Or the Kembe or Theo Rattler.
Okay. So who would coach out of your three coaches?
There you go again. Mr. L do the first half, Coach Chaney do the second half.
Okay, that's fair enough. So you'd Coach Chaney press, right? You would have that zone defense in the second half.
Yeah, we'll talk him out of that.
Okay.
We'll talk him out of that.
So, growing up, did you feel pride to be from Philly, or were you, in some sense, the stuff frustrated you about Philly?
Growing up?
Growing up, yep.
Oh, I love Philly, being a part of Philly, because we had a reputation as a sports town. We had a reputation as players as being tough-minded and physical and know how to play basketball. So we took pride in that. So whenever we would go places, even now, or when I was in college or in the pros, and people always talked about Philadelphia basketball. So I enjoyed it. I don't know if anything changed, up to this point, but I enjoyed being from Philadelphia, and because this was a basketball hub at that, particular time. I grew up around Lionel Simmons, Hank Gathers, Bo Kimball, Doug Overton, all of those local guys, Nate Blackwell and Pooh Richardson, and we all be in the gym together. So this was a huge basketball hub, and we was known for being tough.
Would you say that the basketball culture is your favorite thing about the city?
It's a lot of things that I like about the city, not just with basketball. I like the access of it. You can get to different other cities in no time. New York, hour and a half. Baltimore, hour and 20. DC, 2 hours.
Proximity.
So it's centrally located around all these other towns that you can get to. So,
favorite place to get a cheesesteak?
Oh, here you go again. I haven't had a cheesesteak in a long time. I like Ishkabibbles. I like to go down to South Street. I like to go down there because I can get a cheesesteak and I can take in South Street, I can take in Philadelphia, and if I have friends that come, I'll take them down there. But D'Alessandro's is not not bad. I know you was going. I know that's where you was going.
That has been the most common answer on my podcast. Ishkabil's about 7 to 10 people have said it.
Yeah.
Aaron, I want to thank you so much for being on, for being the first ever guest on Philly Famous Podcast, TV edition.
Mm-hmm.
This was a lot of fun, and I want to wish you luck with the rest of this season and the many seasons you have to come as a head coach. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.